All right, here we are. This is actually take 2 of EMPP number 5. Just for the record, we actually had about 5 minutes recorded before I realized I forgot to, start recording with the cameras.
No audio, no video. You gotta have the visual.
It's got to be the whole experience.
Absolutely.
Because, obviously this is on YouTube as well, and I need to make sure I have the video. And with me today, I have Brian Coopman, or Coop, and
Welcome.
let's toast to that.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you having me.
Hey, thanks for hanging out today.
Absolutely.
So I've known Coop for a little while, back in high school, and I'm 34 now, so that would have been, I can't do math. I can't math well. But
Carry the one and subtract the decimals, and we're good.
Yeah, but we met at, so Happy Joe's is a local to the Midwest in Iowa, Illinois, and I don't know where else now at this point.
Arizona for some.
Are you shitting me? Is it in Arizona too?
Arizona. There's a Happy Joe's.
Well, regardless, it started in the Bettendorf or Davenport or something like that.
Down to East Village, Davenport.
Okay.
The very first one.
And we worked at the one in Muscatine together, so I met this gentleman at the Muscatine location back in the day, and it was my first job. Your first job?
My second. So yeah, McDonald's was number one for me. Fry guy, order taker, drive-through guru. I mean, I did it all at that McDonald's.
Ding fries are done.
It was really loud beeping. I mean, I've decided like my layer of hell is going to be stuck in a McDonald's fryer, slinging French fries all day with all the beeping things going off, and you can't ever shut them off. That's going to be hell.
That sounds like a nightmare.
That was miserable.
And I've got Joey. He's not old enough to work yet. My oldest is 13. But you know what?
Right there.
It's gonna be. It won't be much longer. And I almost, I wish we had like a Happy Joe's I could push him into.
Yeah.
Because I met his mom. Obviously,
I knew his mom from McDonald's. That's a very small world there too.
That's right. So that's where she worked there too. I remember that now.
Yeah.
It's funny. I totally probably forgot that since I was told that years ago. It must not have stuck very well with me.
No, PTSD kind of.
Yeah, it did. I've got a lot of that too. That's actually why I drink scotch. And by the way, we are drinking scotch today. And I know we keep jumping around, but the scotch today, we decided to change it up. Usually we have one scotch that we share. Mm-hmm. But this time, I knew he liked a particular one he's tried here before when he's been over. And I had this other one, so I'm changing it up a little bit. Glenlivet and Macallan, which apparently recently just started a brand new distillery over there.
Really?
Multi-million-dollar. There's an article I'll share, a link down in the description below, of course, for YouTube watchers.
Sure.
But yeah, they just did a huge new distillery over there that's got some 500 some bottles that you can taste of different types.
Interesting.
Apparently.
We're going to be chit-chatting about travel, so that's something that I guess I'm going to have a destination by the time I leave here.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be good. You know what? I want to go at some point too. I'd love to go visit a distillery over there in Scotland somewhere, just to check one. I don't care which one it is. Obviously, usually I drink Balvenie, which, if you've watched a lot of these podcasts, which when I say a lot, there's only been, this is the 5th one so far. So, but yeah, I definitely like to do that. So getting back to, though, before we forget, so we met at Happy Joe's, and basically your first job was McDonald's, where he worked with my ex-wife, actually. And you were a fry cook, but it wasn't dinging. It was beeps.
Yeah, just a lot of incessant beeping. So I moved to drive-through and front counter. I mean, multitasking right there.
Was that a big day for you? Be honest.
That was a big day. I mean, get out underneath those fry lamps. It was a good day. I wanted to cook. They didn't trust me. Labor laws. My great-grandfather could go dig coal mines, but I couldn't use a fryer.
It's kind of the same way when he was at Happy Joe's. We didn't trust him making pizzas at first either.
I didn't get to cut the pizzas until I was at least 17.
That's like a deadly weapon,
It is. It was just a giant machete that we called a pizza knife.
It was. But you know what, though? When you mastered something like that, it was fun to watch somebody who was really good at it, especially when it was busy.
Absolutely.
Just bam, all the way through that pizza, right? Perfect slices. There was a lot of stoners that worked at Happy Joe's when we worked there, and they could make the best pizzas ever, and they were so focused they could do anything there.
Absolutely. Some of the best food I've ever had was not on the menu, cooked by a stoner, probably while he wasn't supposed to be in the restaurant. So
probably,
which was amazing.
Right. They just walked in. They didn't care.
No. I want to make a baked potato pizza today. Why? I had a vision.
Why not? Exactly.
Absolutely.
So nothing against stoners, which being a musician or playing in music, I see all types of that usually, which doesn't bother me, and that's okay. But stoners, I learned some important things besides oddball fucking pizza recipes at Happy Joe's. I also learned one other important thing. You may recognize this. Hold on right here.
Oh, jeez. What's he reaching for?
So do you remember this?
Oh, no.
It's not very often I can bring this up with a guest here, and they understand what it is. So if you want to show that to the camera, you can.
So it doesn't matter which camera here?
I don't care. What are they going to do? Take the video down on YouTube?
Not, so, yeah.
So that one says...
That would be pussy on that side.
Yes.
And beer on that side.
2 things to live by back then.
Absolutely. There really was nothing else.
Right.
So, sorry, I don't even have my mic over here. Hopefully that picked all that up. But
So just barely. It's okay. So basically we've got a hacky sack or a SEPA, I think is what it used to be called.
SEPA.
Or is it still called a SEPA?
I have no idea.
Fun fact. I bought this thing. I bought that thing at that place that in the mall. What's it called? That store that sold a lot of hoodies and gosh, what they all probably all sell hoodies. Pacific
Sunwear?
Is that what it is?
What did Muscatine Mall?
No. It wasn't Muscatine.
Oh, okay.
This was like South Park, North Park.
Oh, Pacific. Yeah, there was a Pacific Sunwear. That was most like the surfer, stoner, skateboard
That's what it was.
Type one. Okay, yeah.
That's where this came from.
Jeez.
Because it had like that nice kind of woven, feel to it, right?
Is that
a little
still
bit more.
there? I don't think that's still there.
I don't know. Anyway, it's not like we go shopping enough where we would know these types of things.
No, especially not the skateboard stores.
Right, definitely not. Especially with my figure. There ain't no way you're putting me on a skateboard. I have a hard enough time pedaling a fucking bicycle.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. Could you see me in like a vert ramp or something like that?
No. I could see it for about 30 seconds. I mean, that would be another YouTube video, so it's definitely something we should look into.
It would be fun. It's not going to happen though.
Yeah.
So anyway, stoners, they make good pizza. They teach important life lessons like how to play SEPA or hacky sack, which is I felt like at one point I was a little, it was kind of decent.
Not bad. Yeah.
It was like the thing you do on break, right? So you work through half your shift, and you go out back and they basically smoked and we all played SEPA. That's basically
Absolutely.
What it was.
Yeah. And then do you remember the Dare car?
Oh, yeah. There's going to be so many memories at Happy Joe's if we keep this going.
Yeah, exactly. I think statute of limitations is probably exceeded on most of these, so we should be okay. But
we should be okay.
So, yeah, just a recap for the viewing and listening audience is I had a Scott County Dare car that I bought for $2,000. And you could see as the light hit it just right that it said Dare on the side with a big badge. And so it was just a common thing that everybody had to smoke weed in the back of the Dare car.
Right.
So I was not partaking at that point.
By the way, I want to be clear because my kids are going to be watching this.
Yeah.
Drugs are bad. Stay away from that.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. I didn't partake.
Right. He had a freaking Dare car.
Dare.
What was that acronym for again?
Drug and alcohol resistance education.
Very important. Children.
So, true story, viewing, listening audience. I was an exemplary Dare student back in my day. Free trip to a local Christian camp paid for by Scott County Sheriff's Office. Thank you, gents.
He's a good Christian boy, isn't he? It's funny. I thought Irish people are supposed to be Catholic, though.
Or Protestant. And I mean,
oh, okay.
There's a couple.
Is that how that works?
Yeah.
Well, at least you're not a Scientologist or anything.
I'm not.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, I don't.
I mean, there is a lot wrong with it. So this is going to sound crazy. You remember the trading cards, Dare trading cards?
Oh.
If you do not.
Vaguely.
If you do not, I have some. I could show you.
Interesting.
They had Dare trading cards. The trading cards were basically the officers. It was the officers.
Okay.
And they had their own cards.
Yes. All right. Got it.
Yeah. So if I can dig those up and take a picture, maybe I'll share those or something like that on the description below. You know where it's at.
I've kept those for...
So it's also with all my other baseball, basketball cards. It's in like a big tub out in the garage. So I'm hoping someday my grandkids can go through it and enjoy the baseball, basketball cards. I give it to my kids now, but they're ungrateful shits and don't deserve it.
They don't give a shit.
I'm just kidding, kids. If you're watching, I love you, and I know you're not ungrateful. I got some good kids.
Still shits, but not ungrateful.
Exactly.
Love it.
You're not getting it though. Just letting you know.
Your
kids will probably get it. So
perfect. Yeah, mine all got destroyed. My grandma's basement always flooded. And I left for the Marines, and I just kind of shoved stuff wherever basements were.
Yeah.
And I came back, I'm like, hey, what happened to all my baseball cards? And they're like, yeah, no, the basement flooded. They're gone. We threw them away. I went, oh. There was literally thousands of dollars worth of cards down there.
That sucks, man.
I paid quarters for them, but yeah,
Sure.
somewhere worthwhile. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know how much like the baseball cards from the 90s. I'm sure if you had some good, what is it, Frank Thomas rookie cards or I'm just rather, what, like Ken Griffey Jr. I'm trying to remember who the big names were in
Sammy
the 90s.
Sosa, Mark McGuire.
Those guys probably weren't as much rookies, but they had
Well,
that was the time of their home run situation.
No,
right?
so I mean, I started collecting baseball cards when I was like 7 or 8.
So
by the time we were in junior high, that's when they were doing the home run slugging thing.
Okay.
So they would have been rookies when we were kids.
Okay. All
So,
right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I had a bunch. They're gone. So
Yeah. So,
Whatever.
well, besides dare cars, I remember one of the most important things that I remember is the tempos that were floating around. So I don't know if you remember much about the tempos. Of course you do.
Of course I do.
What's your most fondest memory? And a tempo, by the way, is a Ford product.
Yes.
A awful
Amazing.
Ford product that was made.
It's a synonym.
Same difference.
I saw one last week, and I really wanted to get this guy pulled over and offer him just $500, just on the spot.
Wasn't one of them like duct tape covered or something?
Yeah, that was Willie Wheels Jr. I never met Willie Wheels Sr. That was gone before I came around. But yeah, we decided to do silver duct tape over 90% of the car with black duct tape racing stripes coming from the hood all the way over to the roof and down to the trunk.
Sure.
And so why not?
I don't know why. Why
So
not? Yeah.
That took us down several road trips. Missouri, lots of Des Moines, Peoria is random.
Well, how many times do you get pulled over, though, in that car?
Constantly.
I was just going to say.
Literally just leave the house and they would pull us over.
Like they were waiting at the end of the road.
Exactly. What is wrong with the car? It's like the DOT inspectors. Like they see a semi, they pull it over just to find something that's wrong.
Right, yeah.
Muscatine Sheriff and Muscatine Police was just looking for our cars because there's probably beer, nothing illegal. Children watching. Beer or like a turn signal was out and they had to hit their quota for stupid bullshit tickets for that time of year.
I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you miss the tempos?
I do miss the tempos.
Do you? Yeah.
I would love a 1985 tempo.
You said you'd offer the guy $500.
I would. And honestly, you know what I would love to do is restore a tempo to like its full glory. Instead of having the crappy tempo, spend the money to restore this thing. Get it shiny.
I just want you to know you're a terrible person.
We
for
never had a
even
shiny
suggesting that.
tempo. How cool would that be for me to roll up in a shiny tempo?
You said cool, right?
That would be amazing.
You said cool.
Yes. Amazing. It's a synonym. Whatever you're thinking of is a synonym of cool.
I mean, it'd be great if you so I could picture, and you've got a garage at home too.
Yep.
Not that anybody needs to know that, but
yeah.
It'd be funny if I went to your house one day and you check this out, and he had the clicker and he went like this, dramatic, music started playing.
I would have doves get released. Trust me, for that reveal, I would go all out. How much for the doves? I don't know. Couple G's, cost more than the car.
Right, exactly. Yeah, but it's worth it though.
It would be. It would be amazing. It's a dying breed. I miss those. But yeah, so we had, I think, 6 tempos, a Nova, an Escort, and a Pontiac Grand Prix.
And a Pontiac Grand Prix.
Yeah, like a 1987 Pontiac Grand Prix.
Yeah, and it was between you, Will, and Tommy Morrison, or Tommy not part of that?
No, Tommy was part of it.
He was part of it too.
Max was involved in some of them.
Yeah, so I don't know if any of those guys are going to end up watching this at some point.
If we retell them.
Yeah, but it's kind of fun to think back to that. And then I remember, besides the tempos, it was fun in the Dare car, the delivery cars before the Echoes.
Oh.
So were they Fiestas?
Yes.
Right. So, or Festivas, Fiestas.
Festivas were the small Fords.
Right. Well, they came out. So today they sell, or they've been selling at Ford a newer version. It's one of those two names. Anyway, so I'm not saying this happened, and I'm not saying I was a part of this, but I'm saying there was definitely an employee that worked there at one point where we both had, because they had two of them as far as I remember, and then they had like a station wagon too, like an escort station wagon maybe for like the bigger orders. These are delivery cars, by the way, wrapped with the fucking Dalmatian dog on the side and everything like that. I feel like one was green and one was white. Anyway, so we may or may not have done a little racing with those where it involved going through the parking lot, down the side street, back through the parking lot. The other employee's name, I believe, is similar to Bo Jackson, minus the bow, if I remember correctly.
I think that's a myth.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I heard about it. But so we've had a lot of fun with cars at Happy Joe's. That was fun. And then all, of course, legal and never to what would terminate our positions. And then they had Toyota Echoes, which were just awful,
god-awful cars.
Throwaway cars. I feel like the old Fords were better than the Toyotas.
I think so, yeah.
So that's where we met. And that's where we learned a lot of great things. It's where we drove a lot of fun cars. And so now today, fast forward, again, I can't math well, but I think we're at least, what?
I'm 33, so like met 15, 18 years ago.
Right, whatever it was.
I've never put the words. God.
So now I'm a janitor at McDonald's, and he actually
awesome,
has a really good paying job. No, and he's done really well for himself. And he actually, so you work in software, right? Software sales?
Software sales, yeah.
And it's called Cartograph, right?
Correct.
So
correct.
What about that company could you share?
So it's high performance government is our big push, and so there are a ton of softwares that exist out in the world. Go to an app store. You can select an app for $1, but ours is not $1. Ours is several thousands of dollars, up to hundreds of thousands, maybe even $1 million.
Holy cow!
But to utilize this, you have to get some sort of return. So we sell to governments, cities, counties, water utilities, parks, districts, whatever the case would be. These are taxpayer dollars, so they have to find some sort of return out of that. By using our software, they can get a bunch of data on where they're doing work, how much work they're doing, how much is that costing, what sort of impact are they doing on their assets. So to the common person out there, they see a crew patching a pothole behind that, and it's usually pissing them off because it's got a lane closed and it's going to delay them getting to work for 30 seconds extra. But to the municipal worker or the engineers or the budget or the bean counters behind it, is that them patching that pothole extended the life of that road by whatever percentage is out there. That's what our software does, is that we calculate all of that and we throw it out there and say, based on how much money you have, how much you're budgeting 5 years down the road, here's what your road network is going to look like. So then they can take to the public and the elected officials a true dollar amount of, here's what it's going to take to maintain our city at a specific level. So that's what my software does.
That's pretty cool. And basically, when you sales, is that the correct?
Sales. Yep.
So
business development.
Business development. So
Sure.
in your business development position, and you're traveling, right? And that's something that we kind of share. My janitor position at McDonald's has me going all over the country too. But
Gotta clean them shitters somewhere.
see, they can't find anybody better than me, so that's why I fucking go all over the place. But you go, for instance, what was the last stop you were at for work?
Flew into Pittsburgh, drove down to a small town outside, not outside anything, in West Virginia. I'd never been to West Virginia in my life until 2 weeks ago.
How was it? Was it all right?
It was. What do you think of West Virginia if I say the word?
So honestly, when I think of any state on that side of the country, I think of it's next to the ocean at least.
It's no.
It's
no
not?
ocean.
There's no ocean?
There's no. Virginia's by an ocean, but not West Virginia.
I also don't geography well either. So, so is it mountains?
Mountainous, not as bad. So this was, it was literally just a tiny town, really hilly terrain. Very nondescript, but there is a FBI information center right next door. And so out of a town of 8,800, 3,000 people work for the FBI in this particular community.
So how close is Virginia to like Maryland then and the District of Columbia?
Virginia is right there. So
it is
Virginia,
right there.
Maryland, D.C. is where all that's at. West Virginia is, so where I was at was hour and a half southwest of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
That's about the only way I could describe it.
Okay, but that's not very far though.
No.
That isn't.
No, not at all.
So I remember when you said you were in Maryland one time too, I suggested to go visit the Paul Reed Smith Guitar Factory, which I know
done it.
that's okay though. It just didn't work out. So I remember, and I play, and he plays too, right? You have just one? So
Just one.
we both have Paul Reed Smith guitars one way or another, and some model or another. And basically, when I found out he was in Maryland one time, I'm like, oh, you got to go there. You got to check it out.
Should have done it.
I would love to go, just check it out, get a tour, a free tour to see, because I've seen videos and pictures, but it'd be so fun to actually just go there someday too.
Yeah.
Well, the nice thing is with you, my job will not take me probably to Maryland anytime soon. But for you, though, if you go back again, at least you can go check that out.
At least I know it's there.
Yeah, I think it's
Annapolis.
Yeah. Annapolis.
It's
No, Stevensville. I apologize. Stevensville. Anyway, so I'm pretty sure it's Stevensville. Regardless, though, so you do this traveling, and you're a business development specialist for this company, Cartograph, for software. And you actually came from municipal work. Mm-hmm. So after Happy Joe's directly, right?
No. Well, I guess technically. So right out of high school was the Marine Corps.
Oh, so, yeah, that's right.
Short, not so illustrious, but a lot of fun career in the Marines. I came back after I got discharged, and outside of a very, very short window of time where I was making donuts at a Casey's in Bluegrass. We don't need to go back to that one. I know I got hired on with the city being a meter maid. So
that's right, because that's when and I used to sell cars. I will say I used to sell cars for 9 years in Muscatine, and I remember selling him a Cavalier.
2004 Cavalier.
I love how he still remembers it's an 04, but 2004 Cavalier back when I sold cars, and it was a 2-door. It was just to get you going, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like 14% interest.
Gotta start somewhere. Hey, you know what? That's not bad. My credit cards today actually are like 38%, and they say it's legal, but so I keep paying it. I don't know.
I'm paying the same card I charged for a pack of gum 20 years ago. Still paying on the thing.
Yeah, so I remember selling you that Cavalier, and you were a meter maid, because I remember you told me that at the time. So you were a meter maid, and then how long were you a meter maid?
So a meter maid for 2 years, worked for the police department for a couple of years, moved to public works, which was still doing code enforcement, but liaisoning with police department, fire department. Got a couple degrees, master's degree in that whole process, and then got promoted to management. I was a 25-year-old manager wearing a suit every day, bossing around a bunch of 50-year-old engineers.
That's awesome.
So it was very interesting progression. But yeah, holding that last job, the city, I'm going to avoid saying it just for all intents and purposes, but
that's okay.
They got sued for failure to maintain their sewer system. And so my job was to backtrack and look at, we're spending $20 million a year for a sewer department, and we're getting sued by the citizens for failure to maintain it. And where is all that data going? And I pulled up our softwares, and they were garbage, because that's what governments typically spend, is the cheapest amount, and then wonder why it doesn't work.
Sure.
So I looked at it, and I did the whole proposal process, and my current company floated to the top. And I liked them so much that I asked for a job.
That's awesome.
Kind of segued into what I'm doing now.
Good deal.
Yeah.
So you've worked your way up pretty well with the software side of things, and that's pretty neat too. Because I know software can be a complicated thing as well, not just because it's the cost thing, but also the setup and getting a company going with it too.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. And I guess the software side, I remember working in the car business for years, and then we always had software we would have to change with, and we had to adapt to. And it seemed like the car business, there was like a couple of different types of software they would use, one for inventory management and one for like sales management.
Sure.
And I remember the sales one, there was always there was always something different, but it was always complicated, and they were always looking for the next best thing. Yep. We live in this world today, and I know you probably agree with this too. I mean, the software, technology, everything is changing so rapidly. Mm-hmm. So in like your job, in your career, with software sales for what you're doing, what do you see that's going to be the next big thing that's going to happen?
Automation and standardization are the two big buzzwords that are floating out there. None of them exist to a full degree right now. So to look at a factory. So back in the day, our grandpa, great grandpa, they had to, they literally had to manually pull down the press, punch a piece of steel, move it over to a line. The next person would take like a hole punch and do whatever needed to be so the rivets can move to the next step. And we're looking at assembly lines back in the 1914s, whatever the case would be. Moving forward is that we had machines that would do it. They just had to push 2 buttons, put the piece of steel in there, would punch 2 holes, move, exchange, whatever the case would be. Now we've got robots. There's nobody feeding it in. There's robot arms that are doing all of that. We're taking that for other stuff that exists out there. Is that if I don't see any street lights out there on your particular area.
There's a cul-de-sac probably at the end of this road. Or maybe it's not a cul-de-sac. It's like a dead end because eventually they're probably going to expand out there.
Sure.
But anyway,
Sure.
go ahead. I know what you're
saying.
saying.
So the ultimate process here is that in order, once that light goes out, is that you as the citizen or a public official or a city worker driving around in this truck has to see that that light is out and then call the light department and tell them, hey, you need to get a bulb. And that guy needs to come out and change the bulb and then log what he did, how much it cost, what his truck he used, how many bulbs he used, so on and so forth. The future of software in communities now is that when that light bulb goes out, the light fixture, there's a little box at the bottom that alerts the municipality or the electric utility that says, hey, my light bulb is out. Come change me. Here's the bulb that you need. Here's how many you have in stock. And get this scheduled by the end of the week.
So that's where it's going next.
That's where it's going.
It is, for sure, that's where you think it's going.
That is the future. So GE is working on it right now for smart communities. Atlanta just launched this huge initiative to kind of research this and kind of pilot, hotbed this sort of initiative. Waiting for citizens to complain about something that exists out there. It's slow, it's clunky, and governments work slow in order to respond to it. So let's make the light say, hey, chips are expensive or not expensive anymore. The light can say, hey, I'm out. Come fix me.
Would you say the biggest thing that holds up advancement in government and government software is just the cost?
No, because governments make their own money. I mean, we're going to have a whole lot of libertarians and people just up in arms on that particular statement. There,
by the way, leave a comment below on how much you hate what he's saying. So,
governments make their own money. Is that if they need to fix a sewer system, they have to use sewer funds to do it. If they don't have enough money to fix their sewers based on what your sewer rates are, they can raise that sewer rate. Now, caveat is you got political and policy issues in place, but ultimately is that we don't have enough money based on the rates that we're charging. Let's raise the rates. That'll allow us more money to fix the infrastructure.
Doesn't that mean taxes go up then too?
It's not taxes, it's usage. So there's a difference, and that's a huge thing a lot of people don't understand.
Tell me, because I don't understand.
So you flush that toilet, you just flushed half a liter of water into a sewer system.
What if I have a low consumption toilet?
Okay, fine. And you're not getting charged as much. But they monitor your sewer consumption to say you're flushing way too much shit literally down the freaking toilet.
Yeah.
So we're going to charge you for that. So if you don't want to pay more sewer usage, then don't shit as much or flush every third time. I mean, it's up to you, however you want to do it.
I'm going to tell you this. As long as I'm paying this bill here, I'm going to flush it as many times as
I don't blame you. I double flush every time. Sometimes you have to. Sometimes it's a necessity.
You never want to walk back into the bathroom at a later time in the day and see that something just didn't go down.
Exactly.
Exactly.
It's a bad situation.
Or if you have, if that is a bad situation, but if you have that situation, for Christ's sakes, buy a better toilet.
Yeah.
It's toilet technology.
Yeah. Technology. There you go.
I want that toilet to be able to suck down as many golf balls as possible, like in that commercial.
Why are you flushing golf balls?
It's like the commercial. Haven't you seen that commercial before?
I haven't seen that one.
I don't watch TV with commercials anymore, but I remember there used to be a commercial where this dude's like dumping freaking golf balls in the toilet. And he's like, watch this, and flushes it. And they all go down. Every single golf ball. If somebody shit golf balls, that'd be great.
Them. That's a serious medical issue. But good for them.
If you're pinching it off that much while you're going to the bathroom, you might want to look into that.
I'd look into some more celery or fiber or something like that. Holy cow. Anyways, way off topic there. So cost isn't the issue because cities, governments, they can find money. They can divert money into it. You just have to prove that it's worthwhile. You have to prove that it's an investment.
So how do you prove it?
What happened? Okay, let me back this up. So, I'm going to buy a manual jackhammer.
Okay.
The guy's got to stand there and jackhammer the crap out of this street, an entire street for however long it's going to take him. Let's say it's a mile long. How much time and labor is that person going to expend, let alone any sort of medical issues that pop up because he's sitting there cranking on the street for a week? Or I can buy a machine where a person can sit there and jackhammer the street up in 1/10 of the time with no medical issues whatsoever. And he can do that every single week for 52 straight weeks. Is that a good investment to invest in that machine that's going to do that sort of manual labor?
Exactly, it is.
Software is an investment.
My mind is wandering based off of the scenario that you're bringing up, and I'm trying to relate it to something else now in my mind. You can manually jack it, or
you can get a machine.
Get a machine that can do it. It requires less labor.
This is true.
What would you do? Leave a comment below.
Leave a comment below on YouTube. Jesus.
So that's a good way to describe it then. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it then. So everything, it's just like everything else. Nothing is ever simple enough, right? But technology is going in so many, like for my job as a janitor, let's start with McDonald's. So I have 2 jobs. At McDonald's as a janitor, I noticed they put up those kiosks recently.
Yes.
Like at the one in Muscatine. I just had to check it out because I knew they had added them. So you can just basically walk in. If you didn't want to deal with the idiot at the cashier because they look like, they didn't even get a high school degree. And no offense if that's you. It happens. But I'd rather just do my own order and then take my egg white delights and get the hell out of McDonald's is what I'd like to do.
Absolutely.
So that's technology on that front.
That is. Yeah.
On the automotive side, where my part-time job is, basically things are evolving so quickly. We're going to have cars that are going to be driving themselves soon.
Exactly.
Starting in the states of California and Arizona, it looks like.
Yep.
We got these self-driving cars from companies, not just us, but Google's working on them too. It's, everybody's trying to jump in and make something happen with this.
Sure.
It's going to happen pretty soon. We're just going to be able to drink as much scotch as we want, hop in the back seat of our car, and it's going to take us home.
Yep. So there was an article recently about that one, and it was the death of the automotive industry. And flashback to, I forget what random funny quip they called the GM bailouts and all those other things that occurred back then. That was the death of the automotive industry. But no, right now is what we're looking at technology-wise is the death of the automotive industry, is that ride sharing is eliminating public transit. We're seeing more cars on the street, less people taking the bus because it's easier to pick Uber or Lyft up on your phone and go.
Lyft.
I know you're yeah.
It's got to be Lyft. GM's invested.
Yeah. There you go. Lyft.
Not that I'm favoring that because
there'll be a coupon in the comments later. $50 off your first 10 rides.
Type in EMPP for a special discount on your next Lyft ride.
Careful.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But Lyft,
that won't work. You can type it in all you want.
I want to know. I want Lyft to know this. Lyft and Balvenie and McAllen and Glenlivet. If you ever feel like sponsoring this, I mean, I'm totally a whore. I'll take that money.
Absolutely.
I will take that money if I need it. So, but yeah, Lyft. Anyway, go ahead.
So, yeah, they're saying that as it sits now is that people aren't going to own their own vehicles because, let's face it, we suck at driving. Humans are shitty drivers out there. A car, every time they look at it, it's the last big one that occurred in Arizona, which did lead to a shutdown. I just read today.
Thankfully, not a GM one. That was an Uber one.
Perfect. But that shutdown, this lady ran in front of the car. I don't know if she was homeless or not.
She was jaywalking.
Yeah, and there would have been the autonomous vehicle had a better chance of not killing her than anybody else that would have existed out there. But we don't see that. We see an autonomous car killed a lady. And so everything got shut down. Anyways, once all those kinks are worked out, we're not at Skynet just yet, but is that you're going to literally just get in on your phone, hail a car. It's going to pick you up. It's going to take you to a super speed highway. It's going to drop you off, take an exit, and drop you off in front of your front door. It's going to cost you $1 or $2 per day, which, let's face it, ownership of cars is not at that point anymore. Gas prices are on the rise again. Insurance, if you still pay a car payment like I have since I was 19.
That's the American way. Debt motivates.
Yeah, absolutely. And all these cars are going to be owned by Uber and Amazon and Lyft and such. So the only way you're going to own a personal car is to take it to a track and whip it around a few laps and call it good. That's what this article was saying.
No, I understand.
So the great thing about these car companies are basically feeding their own demise. But.
So like General Motors is invested pretty heavily in Lyft, which is why I brought that up earlier. I'm not saying I work for General Motors, but I work for obviously, Chevrolet as a product trainer, which I've mentioned before in a previous video. Yeah. So that's why I always like to talk about Lyft. But then I think about Maven ride sharing. This is a newer one. Have you heard of this yet? Mm-mm. So Maven ride sharing, it isn't necessarily something that's here in the Quad Cities area yet that I'm aware of, but it's in Chicago. It's in the other parts of the country where basically, so let's say you need to rent a car, right? Mm-hmm. But you don't need to rent a car for a day. You just need to rent a car because your broke ass needs to go up to the grocery store, and you don't want to ride a bicycle to the grocery store because then you got to haul your groceries back on like a backpacker, and I don't know what
you ever seen Kevin McAllister in Home Alone?
Yeah, exactly.
Walking back and then
and you don't want your bags to break open either. But so basically, this Maven ride sharing, as far as I understand, is you can just rent a car for a few hours.
Oh.
I mean, it's that simple. It's a ride.
Zip car, something similar?
Yeah, exactly. But it's called Maven, though, is what it's called, the GM one.
I haven't seen that one. Okay.
I'm sure eventually we will, right?
Yeah.
Eventually we will see that. So that's where it's going to. We have all these ride sharing. And I'm not going to lie. So my recent big trips I've taken to like Las Vegas, I'm trying to remember the other one where I had to use one too. So I use Lyft instead of renting a taxi.
Yeah.
Because the cost was way less. And I was able to catch rides with coworkers throughout the week to help minimize the amount of vehicles that were hanging around.
Sure. Yeah.
So I really feel like it's got its advantages, but things are going to a place where I feel I got to I'm definitely going to buy a fun car that's going to be in the garage because I feel like the Camaros, Mustangs, Challengers, just to name the three major domestics, so I don't care what side you're on. I feel like those cars, they're going to end up at some point going away, not just because of the fact that we have self-driving cars or all these other newer things, but also the EPA with the fuel economy and, which is funny because we have all these new cars that have been coming out that have such high horsepower. But I honestly feel like there's going to be a time in the future there won't be those fun high horsepower V8 cars anymore because of emissions and fuel economy. And instead, everything's going to be electric.
Well, the other one is that there's going to be nowhere to drive them. It's that these ride-sharing things are going to put you on a super speed highway where you're not allowed to control the vehicle at all.
Could you imagine a lane in Interstate 80? Because Interstate 80, we could look it up, but I feel like Interstate 80 goes from like the East Coast all the way almost
pretty much
to the West Coast.
Almost to like New York, and then splits off and gets a little janky. But yeah.
Could you imagine though if Interstate 80 had like a fast lane for one of those situations?
You just sit back and go, oh God, that'd be amazing. Our trains can't even go that fast in this country.
Exactly. No, exactly. It'd be great if you could find a way to utilize the road that's already there, basically, because obviously rail would be a huge cost.
Yes.
Obviously, so with the road thing, but I know rail is expensive too to put in.
Yeah.
Which is probably why they don't put as much in anymore.
Well, right? They have the rail, but it can't handle a high-speed 200 kilometer per hour train like Japan can do. So
true. That's true too.
Yeah, they're future sounds amazing, and there's all these wonderful ideas. I wish I could talk to my grandpa on what he thought 2018 was going to look like.
You know what my grandpa would have said? Why the fuck are you using a trimmer for your neck? Let me get the razor out. He was a barber. That's exactly what he
got my said. K-bar in the back. I'll sharpen it up for you, son.
Honestly, that's what he used to do, though. Think about that generational difference from our grandparents to now. And just think about between now to my grandkids.
Yeah, that's scary.
You know what's funny? I was talking to somebody about this the other day. My kids don't even know cursive. They don't because they do not teach it anymore.
Can they sign their name in cursive?
No.
I
think they do a shitty job writing regular writing. You know who I'm talking about.
God damn it, Tommy.
We weren't supposed to give it away. Anyway. I'm just kidding. Keep up the good work.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they don't even know cursive anymore. I remember in third grade that we had to know cursive.
Sure.
Like we had competitions between students on who could write the best even in the quickest amount of time.
Mm-hmm. Shorthand, yeah.
But if you think about it, think about this. Besides signing your name on a receipt, when you purchase something with a credit card or whatever it might be, in a check, which I haven't wrote a check in forever, but can you think about another time where you'd write in cursive on something?
You're going to hate me.
Go ahead.
I can write cursive quicker than I can shorthand.
No, and I can write cursive too. But
So if I'm on the phone, I'm working with a client.
Yeah.
All my notes are in cursive.
I don't hate you for that. No, I think that's great. And I'm the same. I could write cursive in this moment to write down any notes too. But
Sure.
what I'm trying to say, my point is, what do we use cursive for that we feel obligated to use it for? Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
what do you feel obligated to?
Nothing. I mean, yeah. If I got a handwritten note from somebody, I would assume that he or she was a 70-year-old woman that this happened. Somebody wanted to use my lake to fish on because the previous owner let this person fish. And so I had this beautifully penned cursive note in my mailbox saying, "Hey, the previous owner let me fish on your property. Can I fish on your property?" And
So
I'm like,
think about this then. You can read that.
I
Kids
would have no idea what the hell that note said.
Think about my kids though, who have never been taught to really write cursive.
Mm-hmm.
If they see that, how are they supposed to understand what it is too?
I don't get it. Yeah. There was we won't get into that one.
No, we can. That's why
I
we're
was
here.
saying, so I was just reading an article on the Trayvon Martin, who's the guy that shot him, the black kid that got killed down in Florida.
Maybe we shouldn't get into this.
Yeah, probably we should stay away from that. Anyways, on the witness stand, the lady, there was a note written, and they asked her to read it, and she's like, I don't know. I got nothing.
Oh, she couldn't read it?
I have no idea. So, like, on the witness stand, trying to read this, she's like, I don't know cursive. So,
Holy cow.
yeah. The other great thing is, so let's throw this out there. Say in 100 years, Nick Cage uncovers like National Treasure Part 42 and finds a document underneath the Louvre written by George Washington. I'm really stretching here, but
You are. Keep
it's
going. I
written
like
in
it.
cursive.
It's good. It's good.
Because
Keep
Nick
going.
Cage will be alive 100 years from now. But it's written in cursive, yet the last person that knew cursive died 7 years ago.
So how do you read it?
And Joey's sitting out there going, I don't know. I don't know how to do this. I think I might be able to pull it off. So we've got National Treasure 43 in the works. Joey, there's a future for you.
You got this. My oldest kid, by the way.
But yeah, no, I mean, the Constitution's written in cursive. So there's going to be kids that are going to look at the original document and think it's acrylic. They have no idea what it is.
Isn't that sad?
It's the wave of the future.
It's no cursive and frickin' Common Core math bullshit.
Yeah.
And I've talked about Common Core math on a previous podcast with another.
I don't know enough
one,
about it.
so
So yeah. Uneducated conversation there.
we don't even have to go there because you know what? I don't know enough about it either. Because when
No
I
idea.
helped Tommy with like doing how I knew math was supposed to be done,
Mm-hmm.
got it all wrong. The answer was right, but how you got there was not right.
Doesn't matter.
Isn't that fucked up?
Well, yeah. I suppose if you got to get to a destination and you actually pull along a safe legal route and you arrive at that as opposed to tearing ass through a cornfield and jumping a fence.
Here's what pisses me off about Common Core math. It takes longer than what it took for us to do math.
Maybe you're just slower.
There's some truth to that.
I used to be able to run a 6-minute mile. I can't do that shit in under 8 anymore.
6-minute mile.
Oh, God, yeah. I used to haul. You remember me when I was 15?
You
going
were-
back to the beginning of this long
yeah.
endeavor.
Yeah, I remember.
This is this tiny little 140-pound kid.
I was 180 pounds, a little bit bigger than you.
A little bigger, yeah.
But I'm also a little bit taller too, right?
That's true, yeah. We'll give you that.
And a baller.
Yeah.
No,
How was your hoop skills?
I'm not. You're awful. Awful. That's why I stuck to SEPA instead. Stick with what you know.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yep.
Stick with what you know.
I agree.
So this is what I know. I know that things are moving pretty quickly.
Sure.
We'll have cars that drive themselves.
Yep.
Getting back to that, even in-vehicle technologies and safety technologies that are on cars today are just getting more and more crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And getting more and more refined too, better than they ever have before. I mean, we have technologies today that are outperforming the same technology that was there like 10 years ago,
Yeah.
which is making everybody more confident. Hopefully, it's just so weird how things are going. And look at this. Could you look at what we're currently using for a podcast right now? I got 3 fisheye lens, high definition cameras. We've got these dynamic, great microphones, and a headphone amplifier running into a compact, and I'm running, everything look 10 years ago. Look 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Look 15 years. Can you imagine? And I know I've talked about this on a previous podcast. Think about the time when we were growing up, and whether you had a computer or not is, I guess, what I'm trying to say. You know what the computers looked like back then, right?
Yeah. Size of this desk.
Oh my God! Right, the big old monitors back when you had to, it took forever to download a couple of pictures of whatever it was you were downloading.
So where are you going with that? I knew exactly where you were going.
Right.
Boobs. In 47 minutes, there's going to be a nipple.
Well, dial-up, right?
Yeah.
I lived in Illinois City, which you remember. Out in the
Oh, God
country.
forbid your mom pick up the phone halfway through. Oh, worst situation ever.
I don't want to wait. It already took long enough to get to that point. It did. Anyway, so yeah, that's how far things have come. I looked at even just this recording equipment that we're using. How about this? Not to get into the music side of things too much, because I know you don't dabble as much as I do, but PA, for instance, the live sound.
Yeah.
When I 5 to 10 years ago, it was all big, heavy speakers, subwoofers, big amplifiers to run the speakers, which they still sell today. But my current setup, though, more compact, lighter weight. It's it's powered. Everything's built into it, and the mixer. So I remember the mixer. I had a PV20. I feel like it was a 24 channel mixer, big old console one, right? I mean, massive. It would take up this whole leaf of this desk. But today, my mixer,
About that big. Yep.
and it's all digital, and it's awesome. You run it from your phone.
Sure.
You do whatever you want to. Things are moving so quickly, whether it's software for governments, whether it's music gear, cars, automotive, or the kiosks at McDonald's. It'd be interesting to see where are things going next. So what's the big thing in your opinion? Not government, not cars, but where do you think we're going to see that's the big next thing?
Yikes.
You think it's going to be those fast lanes that you were talking about with the cars?
It's going to be the fast lanes. I think that's where all technology is moving, because there is radar, LiDAR, computer systems, computer chips, embedded phones. We need to have GPS location in there. We need to have, obviously, a kick-ass sound system if you're going to be sitting there. Facial recognition is still existing, like with the new Super Cruise that's coming out with the Cadillacs out here, is that you can't, they want you to be alert so that there's still somebody there. So the next iteration is that you're not going to be able to sleep in the back seat after too much scotch. It'd be amazing, but that's not going to be autonomous driving right away. There's so many industries that are pointing at this one particular goal, and that is moving us from point A to point B quicker.
Yeah.
Probably the goddamn American way is that we want to get from Boston to California 200 years ago a lot quicker. What we had a horse and a buggy and a wagon. Now we've got a car. You're going to drive for 27 hours and probably wreck along the way. We have this new technology that's going to get us there in, you say half the time, and then maybe quarter of the time.
So the big question is then, so let's say we reach the point where we get from East Coast to West Coast, and it's super quick, right? We get that down. So the next big thing is, and you fly like I do, and you fly way more than I do because of where you travel to. What's going to be the next big thing for getting us from here to Scotland? Because we talked about this earlier, whether it was on camera or not, I can't remember on recording, but we were talking about Scotland. We both
recorded this, right?
All this is recorded. Yes.
Perfect. I'm not starting over.
No. I understand.
Got shit to do.
But what I'm saying though is, if you think of, what's the next step for getting us from point A to point B, from continent to continent? Is the
supersonic jets. Concorde was a good experiment. It worked really well. Are you familiar with the Concorde jet?
Tell me about it. I don't know.
It would actually go
Concorde.
Up. Concorde. Concorde actually is a city.
Concorde. Go ahead.
Concorde would go up like right at the curvature of the Earth, and got you from I could find the specifics, I'm sure, but New York to London in like a couple hours.
Keep talking about it.
So, it got discontinued. 6-7 years ago, maybe even more. My concept of time is actually way down.
Is this it? Can you see from there?
Yeah, no, I can. So 3.5 hours, is that what that's saying?
3.5 hours.
Yeah, across the Atlantic. Whereas opposed to, so I've flown to London. That's a good 8-hour flight from Des Moines. I think it was the last time I did it. So it got discontinued, but it's back. The concept of getting your people from America overseas as quickly as possible is what we need to do in order to, they call it flattening the world, not to be confused with flat earth people. which we would put comments in there if you are, and I will gladly get into an inappropriate internet conversation about this shit show. Anyway, sorry, I got way on a sidetrack there. I'm trying to watch Ed's computer.
You can't even see the curvature of the Earth, bro.
Say that slowly. We have members around the globe. Say that slowly.
What about the chemtrails from this Concorde?
I don't. Yeah.
Turning frogs gay?
Yeah.
Argue that one.
I hope so.
Argue that one. A bit. Anyway, yeah. So it looks 3.5 hours from New York to Paris.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy to think that there was this plane, right? That went so fast.
It existed. It was there. I mean, it was expensive as hell, and
It
only
looks like
the rich could afford it. But honestly, who the hell needs to go from New York to LA in 3.5 hours? How valuable is your time?
It looks like a derpy bird is what it looks like. Look at that.
There's a derp.
It looks like a derpy bird, doesn't
Hell,
it?
it worked.
I mean, it worked. Well, that one, not so much.
The big fire coming out of it.
Yeah, that one didn't work out so well. Yeah, not so much. But yeah, it's pretty neat. How many people?
You look at, I mean, I'm not sure on that one. It was, I mean, it was gone before I started traveling. But look at, I mean, my time over in the Middle East. It took me 27 hours to go from Moline Quad Cities to Dubai. I mean, how much better efficiency could you find if you could get me there a heck of a lot quicker?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But for a reasonable cost, though, too, is a huge part of it, right?
True. But if you're looking at an hourly cost out of 27 hours, how much that would I be working? I mean, yeah.
For productivity reasons.
Sure.
Make you work more, right?
Exactly.
Drinking less over there.
You didn't drink
at all, right? While you're over there?
Oh, God. Have you been to Dubai? Good
I'm just
Lord.
kidding. Gosh, you didn't
One
even
of the
catch that.
drunkest countries in the world.
Is it?
That's actually a statistic. WHO drunkest countries.
Oh.
UAE pops up.
Good to know.
I think that quote just banned me from that country ever again.
You're not going to be going back anytime soon, though, right?
No,
I mean,
God, no.
You'll be okay. So when you were over in Dubai, and this gentleman has worked over in Dubai, how long did you work there total?
11 months.
11 total months. And how many times did you come back and forth in that 11 months?
9. 10, something like that.
So Dubai, for those that aren't familiar with, it's in the Middle East. Can you explain a little bit about the area that you were working in there?
Sure. Actually, full disclosure, Abu Dhabi was where I was at, which is the capital. Dubai is kind of the glamorous, ritzy Vegas of the UAE. Abu Dhabi is the one who's got the money, and so it's like the pissed off parent, basically. So I worked for Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
But yeah, same thing I was talking about earlier is we're helping them out with their roads networks, helping them economize, improve. Dubai got into a lot of issues because all their money was oil driven. Well, when the oil bubble burst, they lost all their money. And so now they're diversifying into entertainment, multimodal transportation, that kind of thing. Whereas Abu Dhabi still has oil money, but they also got other investitures out there.
So did you ever go into that world's tallest building over there?
Yeah, the Burj Khalifa. Yep.
I like how we can pronounce it too. Burj Khalifa?
Yes.
And how many? Do you remember how many stories that was, or is there like a known?
I think it's like 130.
It's a lot. I'm not even going to Google it.
It's really freaking tall.
It's really tall.
And the observatory is outdoors. Wood deck.
No way. No way.
I'm afraid of heights. Did it.
Yeah, you did it too?
Yeah, I think I pooped right outside the door, and then I was okay.
Just a little bit?
Just a little bit.
So at the very top of that building, what's the most habitable floor? Is it all the way to the top?
No, it's not to the top. There's still more above it. Yeah, the observation. I don't know the full specifics of the Burj Khalifa, but yeah, there's so many uses. New Year's Eve, they blow fireworks up from the bottom all the way to the top. So 1,500 feet of fireworks just blasting off in the air.
Looks like the Concorde.
For 30 minutes straight. It's an amazing
Lighting it
show.
up.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Well, the one Concorde that's on fire.
Which one? Hold on, wait for it.
The one
There
on
it
fire. That's photoshopped.
Is it really photoshopped?
It's probably photoshopped.
That's Air France.
Is that what it says?
It says Air France on the side of the plane.
Yeah, that's a Photoshop ad. What the hell? That's probably in relation to the protest going over in France right now. That's a whole other podcast.
Never trust what you see on the internet.
Absolutely. I think Abraham Lincoln said that.
He did, actually.
I read that on the internet.
Absolutely.
Actually.
Yeah. I remember it. Well, and yeah, save it for another podcast. And of course, I'm not cutting it off now.
Yeah.
But I'm already booked out with this through the end of the year.
Yeah, you're gonna have to do more than one per month.
So next year I'm going to do 2 a month. You want to get
Okay.
in on it next year too?
I'm down. Yeah, that'd be all right.
Exactly, right?
Hopefully, new experiences, new worlds have opened up by that point.
I'm also hoping for sponsorships from
Zach Balvenie
and Glenn
McAllen.
Levitt and McAllen.
and Levitt,
And
PRS.
Paul Reed Smith.
Paul Reed Smith will
Paul,
be amazing.
Paul, if you're listening, send me a private stock. I won't be picky.
You are amazing.
You're a great man. Just want to let you know, and we
So
appreciate you.
I gotta throw this out there as we're whoring ourselves for sponsorships. Barstool Sports.
Tell me more.
So, have you seen the pizza reviews on Facebook?
What's Facebook?
That's right.
Oh,
You
anyway.
don't do that anymore.
Well, not
Oh,
really, but yeah,
okay.
go ahead. So
So
Barstool.
there's an app then that you can download for Barstool Sports, and there is a pizza review that occurs every so often. And so my goal, and it's not my goal, it's a recent goal, is for the special lady in my life, is that I need to get a selfie with the gentleman who does the pizza reviews for Barstool Sports.
And where's this located or based out of?
Barstool Sports, or
Yeah.
so I mean, he does pizza reviews all over the country. So mostly New York, Boston, mostly New York area is where he does them. He did a Casey's bacon breakfast pizza review though.
Why?
Hated it. Oh yeah,
'Cause it's awful.
He showed up in Iowa City, and some Iowan told him to do a stupid fucking bacon.
Oh my God! You should have went to like
breakfast
Ivy
pizza.
instead or something.
Yeah,
for breakfast
Hy-Vee
pizza.
pizza is so amazing. Happy Joe's, circle back.
Breakfast pizza.
Come
yes.
on back to so. Anyways,
Yes.
my long-term goal
Tie
is
back.
not to go to.
Tie back. Tie back. Go ahead. Long-term goal.
Long-term goal is not to go to some exotic destination. It's to go to New York and meet the Barstool Pizza guy. So,
I know nothing about it. Though.
well, here it is. So you're gonna have to pull the Google up. We don't have time to get into every Barstool Pizza review.
Well, we don't. But keep talking now.
But as fans of pizza, I am a fan of his. You pull the images up.
It was already on the image search. That's what I went to. Oh, there's videos. You got like quick clips. Okay, hold on. Pizza Hut. Oh, this is gonna be good. All right.
Oh yeah,
All right,
absolutely.
Hold on. Let's check this out. So for those that aren't watching, basically we're watching
All
a
right,
clip.
Frankie.
I'll put the link in
We
YouTube
are in Penn
on the YouTube
Station,
description or the
trash
SoundCloud
For all
description.
those at home, worst subway station in America. Pizza Hut. For those at home, Pizza Hut is the new sponsor of the NFL. They kicked out Papa John's, brought in Pizza Hut.
Oh, they did?
Naturally,
I didn't know
I will
that.
do a
'Cause I knew
Pizza Hut
Papa
review.
John's was
I will
out.
keep it
Be
clean.
gone.
I will keep it unbiased.
Oh.
One bite, everybody knows
Be
rules.
gone
Pizza
with it.
Hut. Pizza, it's personal. Now the official pizza of the NFL. That looks as basic. That looks like that's from a little Play-Doh machine that girls have at home.
Holy
Like
shit!
when
I
they
think I
put
remember
Play-Doh
those.
and it comes out, that's what that looks like. Also, spin art. Little thing I like is do the art. Comes
Holy
out.
cow.
Do you know what spin art is?
Throwbacks.
That has nothing to do with pizza, but that was an electric.
He's not gonna
gift.
put that in his mouth,
As
is he?
Hungry,
He's
hungry
gonna
Hippo.
eat this
One bite,
thing.
everybody
Oh,
knows the
no.
rules. Pizza.
I haven't ate pizza in a while. Was it cold? He just. Look at that lady. She's like, what the fuck? Look at her.
I mean, it's not good.
Not good.
I don't think anybody thought it would be good.
So this guy basically checks out and
Is it
reviews
better
all
than
these
Papa
pizzas.
John's?
Yep.
Not really. It's a 1.8.
Ooh,
It's a
it's
1.8.
a 10.
Pizza Hut's a
harsh.
1.8.
1.8 out of
This
10.
guy right here,
Harsh.
money grubbing son of a bitch. You got a 1.8. That's a real pizza in this joint. 1.8. Pizza Hut, NFL, boom,
I mean, what-
bat.
Honestly, what did he expect though? I mean, you know,
It's
you
Pizza
go to
Hut. You have to do it. It's due diligence there.
some asshole who said he needs to go to Casey's should have had him go, like you said, Happy Joe's probably instead.
So typically he only does cheese. So
What? Straight up cheese.
straight up cheese pizza. So I'm curious to see
Straight
what.
up Scotch whiskey is what
Yeah,
I'm talking
exactly.
about. I'm gonna end up
This is a
drinking all
10.
this. I don't have anywhere to go.
Yeah,
so.
you're here. You're already home.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm gonna go do a 0.5K in the morning. We'll get to that.
Are
here in
you
a second.
kidding me?
So 0.5.
Why?
0.5K.
You're a grown man. Why would you do that?
So it starts with a toast. There's a drink station halfway through, and then it ends with a bar.
Are you doing this for your lady friend?
It's a
Don't
0.5K.
lie to me.
It's a block.
Are you doing this for your lady friend?
No, actually, I saw it first. So there's one in Texas that there's a smoking station halfway through. So you start the race with the cheers. You get halfway through the 0.5K. That's half a kilometer. That's the equivalent of like 100 yards.
Keep talking. I'm going to pour your drink.
So anyways, yeah, halfway through. This is down in Texas, not in Iowa, because we're definitely sane people. I love Texas. To throw that out there for Texas people. Comment on how much you hate me. But yeah, in Texas, there's a drink and a smoking station halfway through the race. So you walk 50 yards, you can have a cigarette and a beer.
I was just going to say it's not a cigar, though. We haven't even gotten to cigars.
We have not gotten a cigar. I don't think we have time for that.
We got time for it. What
ridiculous.
time you got to be out here? We keep looking at our watches. Don't let this guy fool you.
Well, you said 1 hour. I was going with your
At
your
least
limit there,
1 hour.
At least 1 hour.
You
okay.
got time.
Oh, yeah. We can finish that bottle. That'll do. So, anyway, smoking station, beer station, and they get to the very end. And then you just get shit-faced for the rest of the night. So
That's what it is.
So this one's a little bit more classy. It's at a winery.
Okay.
And so you start off with the cheers, and there's music beforehand, and you walk your block halfway through. There's some Captain Crunch bars and some brownies and that kind of thing. And then no smoking or beer for some reason. I don't know. And then you get to the end, and it's just a big brunch on a Saturday. So, yeah, you start at 10. You're done with the race by about 10, 11. And then you just eat brunch.
That's what it is.
So you get a T-shirt, and you get, those little stupid, like, European, like 26.2. Have you seen on the back of the cars?
I see them all over the place.
It identifies how many miles you fucking run.
You know how many miles I drive a year? I drive 50,000 miles a year roughly. Guess what?
Fly 100,000. I need a European sticker.
I've seen almost all of them.
There's a 0.5K with a guy slamming a bottle of beer sticker that we're getting out of this one. So
Are you putting it on your Cadillac?
I should.
Ooh, I didn't mean to give away. Is it okay? I told them that
That's
you drive
fine.
a Cadillac.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's actually an old like Eldorado. It's nothing too fancy.
Yeah,
So
yeah, no, it's got like the mile-long hood,
exactly.
the spinner rims.
You're a classy fella.
I am.
So you're running tomorrow though.
I'm not running. I'm gonna grab my beer and walk. I'm gonna mosey down the road.
So instead of talking about smoking cigarettes, which is not good, kids, of course, that are watching, smoking's bad.
It's bad for you.
Scotch, though, if you're over 21, it's a good decision because it only has calories and it has no other bullshit built into it. That's
true.
why I drink. You know how much weight I've lost? Anyway.
You're looking very svelte. I'll give you that one.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Is it the beard oil?
That could be. Is that what that is?
No, I haven't put any in there.
Oh,
so.
okay. Wow. Yeah.
So
I just got mine trimmed. I got that thing going on.
You look very classy, by the way.
Thank you.
But cigars, though, something that me and Coop have always kind of, I don't know when we started sharing that together. I guess like enjoying them. Sharing it sounds really.
Yeah, careful with that.
Yeah.
It's like herpes.
It is, yeah.
Share it once. That's all you need to.
That's all you need, and then it's like you'll never forget for the rest of your life. But cigars, though, is something we both kind of enjoy, and you can see, I'm sure, if you watch the videos, I keep a couple of boxes on hand at the end of the desk, just because I like the Drew Estate Undercrown and the Liga. I don't know how to pronounce Privada. That's what I thought, but I always feel like I never know how to pronounce it. I love those, and we went. So I can remember. Let's look back. Let's go back a little bit. So I remember when we went to the Midwest Smokeout.
Yes.
The Midwest Smokeout, which I recently rediscovered some pictures of, by the way, that I will share with you after the podcast.
Can we get a slideshow? Or are these like not appropriate?
These are appropriate. At the time, they may not have been appropriate for
Certain personnel
in our lives, but at the time, though, it was okay for us.
It's not at that shitty strip club, is it?
What strip club? I don't even know what he's talking about. I was talking about the smoking event.
Oh, okay. All right.
Shut up.
We can cut that out.
Yeah. Post. Anyway, so remember the smokeout, though?
Yes, absolutely.
This is what I remember taking away from the smokeout. And actually up in this closet behind you, and I know you can see in the video, there's a closet behind him that actually has some an old humidor with a bunch of old like cigar accessories, cutters, things like that I still have from that smokeout up there.
Well done.
And I think we only went once, or we go twice? Once.
I went 3 times.
Well, thanks for inviting me, asshole.
Well, I don't know where you were at.
Anyway, so we went to the smokeout, though. It was the first time we ever went, right?
Yeah.
Both of us went.
Yeah.
And I remember going there. It was so cool because the smokeout, it was was it the Horseshoe in Indiana there? Right over the border?
Hammond, Indiana. Yeah, not a wonderful town.
But they had a casino where you could smoke inside, which is why it was a draw. Because in Illinois, it's illegal to smoke.
Yeah, it used to be downtown Chicago, like some swanky
is that where it was?
conference area. And then Chicago passed that anti-smoking law, and it just kiboshed everything.
So we went to the smokeout, and basically we paid a ticket. I don't even remember the price at this point. I mean, it's been so long, but
$50.
But we got to basically get free cigars from. Was it free cigars from every vendor? At least one.
You got at least So 20 free cigars for one. Well, 20 cigars for the 150. Plus unlimited samples from all the booze vendors that were out there.
Exactly, and that's what I was thinking. They had a Kettle One had a booth with a luge, and at the time, I don't think.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Yes, and the funny thing is, maybe it's the Midwesterner in me, the country boy. I had never seen a luge before in my life, but I remember this big ice sculpture. Right, they put the freaking Kettle One, and it went down, and it came down, and it perfectly chilled, and you're just able to drink that down.
Absolutely.
I want you to know that after that, because I drink vodka not all the time, but usually it was in the past. It was like White Russians.
Yep.
Shout out Big Lebowski, and that was basic, or Screwdrivers. Mm-hmm. I always had Kettle One after that, so it sold me on that brand ever since. And I remember the luge. I remember the cigars. I remember the booth ladies that were around the event too.
Yes, that
yep. And
big part of it.
We'll go over those pictures when we're done. But it was a good time, though. Is there anything? I guess I recently told you where we talked about the one in Milwaukee.
Yeah. Yep. So that one this year, too many damn weddings popped up. Unfortunately, everybody that I was looking to go, you're like the only one free that weekend. And so I thought I was going to be. I'm like, oh, screw it. There's 3 of us. We can make this happen. And then I get home and I see the save the date on my fridge.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So
I'm not going to go by myself, obviously. I brought it up to a coworker. I don't know if he's going to be able to go either because he lives in Milwaukee.
Oh, okay.
But he also smokes a little bit of cigars, not like us. But I would love to go to another event sometime with you.
So ultimately, is that this one is it looks like it's going to be continuously running, assuming Wisconsin doesn't do something stupid about their cigar laws. Republican in office, we're good. They'll leave it be.
I'm hoping so. I'm hoping so.
Republicans love cigars. That's a great thing. Democrat, you get a Democratic governor and they shut cigar smoking down. It fucking sucks. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not even gonna get into politics right now. I don't.
I'm gonna save. By the way, I'm gonna save that for my December podcast. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but I'm sure that'll be
It's gonna be a good one. Yeah,
it'll be a political.
Tune in.
One.
Good lord. Yeah. We only got 8 months to go. 7. 7. Yeah, math. Back to that math.
I know.
Thing.
Anyway, so go ahead.
So assuming that doesn't die down, I've already got 5 or 6 guys that are interested in road tripping up there. So that'll be a fun one. That'll rock.
I love the cigar events, though. So we both smoke, and if it was, I think we joked about before we went on camera, it'd be nice if this is my office here is where I do these podcasts, and it'd be nice if we could smoke in here too, because I have a humidor that's off camera, and in the future though, maybe I can figure out a way to do a podcast that's actually at Hickey Brothers. So Hickey Brothers is a place in the Quad Cities in Rock Island that actually allows for you to smoke inside. Mm-hmm. And the owner, Michelle, she's a great person.
Yes. And
I'm hoping to have her on still in December. I've got her scheduled for December this year. But it'd be fun to do one there because we could smoke, we could drink. Right?
I think if you got early enough in the day, and honestly,
nobody else is in there, right?
Well, nobody's going to be in there, but even if it's a private business, lop it off for an hour and a half and call it good, or do it right before opening even.
I would love to do that. Maybe the next time we do it next year, because if I have Coop on next year too, it'd be fun to maybe we can talk. Except Michelle will be December.
Yeah.
Set something up for early next year. Yeah. We can block off an hour and a half and just kind of do our thing and smoke too.
She might be down for it.
That would be good because it'd be a lot of fun. We both enjoy cigars, and it's not something we both do probably all the time, but it's kind of a nice sit down, relaxing, especially with scotch too.
Oh yeah.
It's good time. So I think back to the smokeout when we did that. How many years ago was that? Do you remember? Oh my God! I mean, was
there
that
a time date stamp on those photos?
There might be. We'll look it up.
I hope so.
We'll check it out.
I could pop up Facebook and figure it out. I put a couple up there back in the day, but shoot, I would have been right after my surgery. I had jaw surgery, so.
Oh, okay. Well, I remember that I've started.
So I was clean shaven, like really clean shaven.
Well, I was too though, because when I was selling cars back then,
mm-hmm.
I couldn't do the luscious beard thing.
Bullshit.
Exactly.
Bullshit. I would buy a car from you now more than back then. I'd walk in, I'm like, that beard is fantastic. I'm gonna buy whatever that man is selling me. That's just me because it's a beard thing. Like I just trimmed mine today. I had it professionally trimmed,
but it looks good though.
I was tired of fucking with it, and I got some stuff going on this weekend. So
sure,
it's gonna be hot. That's the big problem. 97.
When?
This weekend, Memorial Day weekend. It's gonna be freaking 97 degrees plus full humidity.
Oh shit! So Mike Berensmeyer, if you're watching this, who's been on the podcast twice now, returning guest, I'm helping him move this weekend.
Oh, fuck! It's gonna be a sweaty mess.
The good thing is though, he did buy us a punch cigar to when we're
good.
done to just kind of relax.
I get a lot of water before you smoke that, but
Yeah. Yep. Definitely.
yeah, it's gonna be shitty. Lost train of thought. Where were we?
So we were talking about how far back it was, right? How far back
yeah.
was that?
So yeah, I would say. I've been with my company 5 years. We haven't done it since. It was before that 7, 8 years ago.
I feel like it has to be. Is it more than that, or is that 8, 7 years?
It's got to be.
ago?
So everything I look at, it was pre-cartograph days, as we talked about earlier, and that was 5 years ago.
What I'm going to do when we're done with this, just so you know, I'll put in the YouTube video, I will put a still shot of one of the pictures from that event. One that's family friendly, of course. So
yes.
Kids, you can definitely look at that and it won't be a big deal. But I remember that, and we share this, cigar thing. I love cigars because, especially with scotch, you get to sit, spend an hour, relax, talk like this. If we can set something up at Hickey Brothers, and it is Hickey
awesome.
Brothers, I'll leave a link in the description where it's at, and so Michelle can get some recognition there. That'd be a good time too, wouldn't it?
That would be a good one, yeah.
What would we talk about? Think about it. So if this month we're in May 2018, what's going to happen between now and then?
Midterm elections.
Let's leave the politics out of it for us.
Good.
I'd like to talk about other things with me and you.
It'd be a very short podcast. I don't give a shit. Thanks for joining.
Exactly. And we're fucking done. See you later. See you next time. In all seriousness, though, I guess the last thing I'd like to talk about before we're done today, too, is we've talked about careers, McDonald's and Cartograph. We've talked about, we've talked about Happy Joe's technology and things like that. I'm trying to think, music. Obviously, you play guitar a little bit. Did I have a direct influence on that? Remind me of how that works.
Yeah, no, I had no interest in it whatsoever. I played the trombone. I was pretty good at the trombone.
And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I'm trying to remember. So I've got some friends in my life that have been with me, and they've they picked up a guitar. Like Aaron Ricketts was another one. Ricketts, he actually ended up buying a guitar at some point in his life because I was playing. He thought it'd be cool to have one. And I don't know if he still has it or not, but
sure.
Basically, you play a little bit. Did you ever get an acoustic yet?
Had an acoustic. It's just kind of holding off. Started remodeling my house, and it's just one of those. Do I buy a $500 toilet or do I buy a $500 guitar?
Jesus Christ, a $500 toilet?
Flushes them damn golf balls, man.
Oh, that's right. Fucking golf balls, am I right? How many? 30 at a time?
30
Sold. Does it have a easy lower like mine have here? It's got the easy lower.
Before we go way off of the music, so I was in San Diego.
Yes.
And I did an Airbnb at this amazing loft in Little Italy.
Go on.
And I walk out of in my room, it was just a private room, but the owner was gone. So it's like having the place to myself. Anyways, I walk down there, and there's a full Skynet shitter in there. Heated seats, bidet, played music. I mean, soft lavender potpourri emanating from it. Automatic lid. I mean, it was literally. I thought this thing could have absorbed me at some point.
Let me ask you this though: how many of those features did you actually use?
All of them in succession. Repeatedly.
What was the best one?
That heated seat was freaking amazing. Good Lord. Because the air conditioner was pretty high. It was kind of a humidity in San Diego, which is an oxymoron for any of our San Diego friends joining in. It was hot as balls that freaking week. I don't know why. I lived in San Diego when I was in the military or close by. Never got humid. It got humid 3 days out of an entire 2-year period. I went there for 4. It was hot as fuck the entire time. It's just miserable.
So I'm curious really quick, and we didn't talk much about this, but remind me about when you were in the Marines, right?
Yeah.
And then one of my podcast guests, Dave Crenshaw, who did 2 episodes ago, I can't remember which branch he was in. What did you do What did you do when you were in the Marines?
Sure, I was infantry. Got hurt in infantry training, and just did. So, really short story is that we anybody that changes duty stations in the Marine Corps has to get drug tested, and so I was at the infantry training battalion, and all of the kids, we say kids because they're 17, 18 years old, they would go home. They get a 10-day leave. Every single one of them had to get processed through infantry training before they could move on to their career.
Okay.
So all 700 of them per week had to get drug tested.
Per week.
Per week.
Had to take a piss test.
Yep. And I'd say 1%. I don't know this was several years ago. So Marine Corps, if you're watching, don't hold me to these statistics, but I would say 1%, maybe less than 1%, would pop positive. They go home, they'd hang out. I mean, let's face it, the Marines are a bunch of degenerate assholes. That's why they joined the Marine Corps. But they'd go home, they'd smoke pot, do stupid shit with their friends.
So you turned out okay.
I did all right.
You did okay.
They'd come back after that 10 days, and they would pop dirty. And so they'd have to get processed through UCMJ, the Military Justice Branch, and then get processed out. So my job was, it used to be called Cockwatch. My goal was to get out of Cockwatch, because when you do a drug test, somebody's got to watch you pee in that cup. So my goal was to make sure I never had to be that guy watching somebody pee into a cup.
Can I ask you a question? This
Yes.
is a serious question.
Yes, I can tell.
How many dicks did you ever see when you were in the Marines?
Too many to count. I got 10 fingers and 10 toes. I'm out.
Well, there's that.
Well, comment away, people.
Go ahead. Let's hear
Troll
what
farm.
Last time you saw one, tell us about your experience.
Yes, do.
No, don't.
This turned into a very
Don't.
inappropriate
Anyway.
blog at the bottom of
So
YouTube.
that's the kind of stuff though you had to do though.
So yeah, I want to get out of that. I mean, it was a common goal for anybody that was at ITB that was hurt, that needed to. You had to do Cockwatch. It was just a shared duty. I'm like, screw that.
That's what they called it. They called it Cockwatch.
It's Cockwatch, yeah. So I'm like, I'm not doing that. I got to find a way out of this. So I started helping out the senior NCOs, non-commissioned officers, with that program. So I was able to process the paperwork during the day when all the recruits came in, or the newly graduated Marines came in. They weren't recruits. I didn't have to go sit there and stare at 700 cocks walking through the freaking barracks. So
It's a lot of dicks.
that's a lot of dick. We know the caption of this podcast.
Just to get some hashtags on this one. So that's what you did. So
Yeah, short-lived career. I got hurt. Iraq
was-
War was going on. They gave me the option to come home. Got fixed up. Went through college. I was actually literally a week away from heading off to officer candidate school for the Army when I graduated from my undergrad, and just fell into a master's program blindly. And so that kind of derailed that whole military continuation. But I was going to continue. I'd have probably been an Army officer by this point if I hadn't deviated a little bit.
does the Marines, do they pay pretty well if you're in that kind of position?
No.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I really don't know.
$1,100 a month.
That's what it is. So you have to have a full-time job too then, no matter what.
Well, if you're in the Marines, they pay for if you're an enlisted person, lower rank, you get your food paid for, your clothing paid for, your housing paid for.
Coop, $1,100 wouldn't even pay for my scotch every month.
$1,100.
I'm joking. I don't spend that
for-
much.
yeah.
I don't spend that much on scotch. It was a joke. This is all. I'm hoping to be sponsored soon. You know
Exactly,
You know who I'm talking about. Help me out, okay? I'll
Yeah.
spread the word for you.
There's no money in the military. You do it for something else other than money. If
So
you go
who-
into to make money, yeah.
Who makes money in the military then?
Officers later later in their career, and then once they get out, they use the notoriety, the experience they got as a high-level officer, or even non-commissioned officers, so your E7s, your E8s. Those are ones that can get high-paying jobs as consultants or advisors or something to the private sector. Case in point, my cousin was Intel, and I can't go too deep into it. He worked for a contractor. After he got out, he retired as, I think, a staff sergeant or sergeant. Michael, if you're listening, I know you are. You can clarify in the comments. He went to work for a contractor over in the Middle East, and he made a shit ton of money doing it
So take
as a young 20-something-year-old person.
Gotcha. Okay.
So,
So
yeah.
take what you had, apply it to the other thing you're going to do.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's like everything else. What are we going to take with this scotch drinking and apply it to something else in our lives? What are we going to do with it?
High-level sponsorship between Balvenie, McAllen, Glenlivet, Drew Estate, and Rocky Patel, if you're listening.
Oh, yeah. Rocky Patel.
I'm going to be at Burn on next Saturday in Naples. I was just at Pittsburgh location. It was amazing. But, yeah.
Shout out.
Naples.
Tie back. Well, we've been going at this now for about an hour and 20.
Nice.
I think it's about time probably because I know you got, probably recover for your,
Got that 0.5K. You started talking about cigars, though, and the night is young.
You want to end this and go have a cigar really quick?
I think that sounds amazing.
The good news is I have a great selection in the humidor.
He does.
Maybe
and I'm restocking next week.
So maybe I'll add to I'll add to my Instagram story. We'll dig into some cigars. I think we're done though. It's been a good time, man. Hanging out with you.
Pretty good.
Dude.
Went real fast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cheers, sir.
And Scotch and little podcast. I hope you had a fun time too. And next month, actually, I'm looking forward to that one too. I have a gentleman I'm going to stop over who's going to stop over, musician, does some a lot of YouTube work. But for right now, Coop has been a great guest. Talking, man, hang it. Thanks. It's always good seeing you. I've known you forever now.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I say forever. For us, it seems maybe like forever, but it's only been like 15 years. And these kinds of friendships, I really appreciate just getting together. And we're going to bullshit anyway. When we get together.
Might as well put it on air.
You might as well freaking record it at the same time.
Absolutely.
So until next time, which will be a short amount of time, hopefully in the next week and a half, you'll see the next episode. We'll see you then, whichever camera. Say goodbye.
Thanks, guys.